Welcome back, Wolfpack. Verlis here, and this is how to use Torkoal. Torkoal is freaking busted, guys. Like, it's a very strong, very mental Pokemon. When you look at stats, huge defense. 140 on that base defense is going to make you an incredible physical wall, and generally you're always going to see more physical Pokemon in the metagame, so a physical tank like Torkoal is going to be very strong. 70 on the hit points is actually pretty decent. While not being the best, it's really good when paired with that high defense, and even then the special defense isn't too terrible, so you're not going to directly get one shot by anything special like some physical tanks do. Look at its typing, it's a pure fire type. Now this is where it does get a little interesting, you know. You're weak against ground, which is very common, you know, you see a lot of earthquake. Rock, fairly common as well. Stealth rocks can be a problem, and then water. Since you already have a low special defense, water could do a lot of damage, but outside of that, if you're not seeing any ground, if all those threats are gone, if it's in the mid game, or you know your opponent is really not getting too much damage onto you with those hits, you're going to be very solid that you have a ton of resistances. Pure fire type brings 6 resistances, and since you can get over your weaknesses pretty well, you just need to make sure you work a little bit with Torkoal, and it will reward you incredibly. Hopping into Pokemon Showdown, we see what Torkoal can do, and it can do a lot. That there's a lot of diversity to this Pokemon. And first off, I was thinking, you know, you can either go max hyper defense, 252 on that, and just try to wall out anything physical. Or my idea is, you know, you break it down just a little. You try to get up to at least 200 around that on the special defense, and then you're still really tanky. Your defenses are very high, you still have a good amount of hit point bulk, and now you're not getting directly destroyed by anything that's straight up special while getting set up against them. That Torkoal is a great rapid spin Pokemon. Very sturdy, just kind of sits in there, removes hazards, and it can also do a lot of work. Clear Smog eliminates target stat changes if they're not a steel type Pokemon because it's poison type and they're immune, but in that you're a fire type, you have the advantage against steel type Pokemon. You know, against Mawile, against Scizor, Torkoal is very strong because they don't really have a lot of damage options against them, and then you can also look at Lava Plume. Lava Plume is going to do a high amount of damage and have a 30% chance to burn them while you're also setting up. You know, you can go Leftovers Protect, get a good amount of health back, and then just stall them out while trying to remove setup from other Pokemon, removing their entry hazards, and then just becoming a wall that's burning all sorts of Pokemon. What I was thinking that if you go pure defensive or if you just kind of split it up a little, you need a wish Pokemon on your team. That since Torkoal doesn't have any hard sustain, if it takes a monstrous hit, I'd like to switch out, you know, deal with that threat, get a wish set up, and then go back into Torkoal. It gets a ton of health back, and now they have to deal with that threat all over again. They keep trying to set up hazards, Rapid Spin is going to be there for you for quite some time, and then you can keep playing a lot of good pivots. Torkoal is a very mental Pokemon. They have to know when to stay in, when to take out their setup, when to just kind of play it off like that, and if you get it going really well, it can be incredibly strong. Also, another very mental set is going to be Yawn, Stealth Rock, Protect, and Clear Smog. That you can also run pure defensive, or you can kind of go mixed on this. I was thinking that with this set, since you're forcing a lot of switches, you could have a very high opportunity of just getting a lot of natural sustain from just Leftovers and Protect. That what you're thinking about doing here is setting up Stealth Rock and then throwing out a Yawn. Your opponent has 2 options. They stay in and go to sleep while trying to do some damage, or they switch out and then you get free setup. So what you could do is, you know, you set up Yawn, you throw out a Stealth Rock. If they switch out, that's a free Stealth Rock. If not, you know, you can still go into other things. If they decide to stay in and attack and you get a good prediction, you can Protect. Now they go to sleep for free. If you throw Yawn, like you can use back-to-back Yawns. You use Yawn. If you anticipate them switching out, use Yawn again, and now both of their Pokemon are at threat of getting put to sleep and you didn't even take any damage. So even though Leftovers only heals 1/16, there could be scenarios where you don't even get hit for 3 turns and you're almost getting a quarter of your health back before taking damage, while also doing a serious amount with Stealth Rock. Stealth Rock does 1/8 of their health on switch-in for neutral, and then it just kind of keeps breaking down from there, so if you're forcing out a lot of these switches, you can do a lot of really good things, and I just like carrying Clear Smog. If they're trying to set up, you go, no, you Clear Smog them. That might even force them out if it's a setup Pokemon, and then Stealth Rocks and all those other things. It's just really going to break their team down pretty hard. And then you can also look at Torkoal with a couple of other ideas. That you have Fissure as an option. You know, Fissure on this set works out really well because if they're asleep, you can start taking shots at them. You know, if you're forcing out switches, if you're already doing damage with Stealth Rock, you can just have a lot of opportunities to get a one-hit KO. Torkoal doesn't have monstrous damage, while it does have monstrous tankiness. So if they're taking 3-4 hit KOs while you're also setting up against them, you know, you throw out one Fissure and it gets lucky, that's going to be a KO. As well as also having higher potential to KO and things like that. Also, you can run Iron Defense. I was thinking pure Calm Nature. That Like, normally it does make sense that you want to put the nature into your highest stat because you're getting more points out of it, but sometimes there are exceptions. I'm already boosting my defense, and I want to get my special defense as high as possible, so now I'm not going to be too worried specially, and then it can work out from there. And that's kind of it, that you're mostly going to only get sustained from leftovers, so if you can find another way of healing Torkoal, you're going to be very strong. And other than that, it's just you're either building setup and really trying to force switches on your opponent, or you're breaking down their setup and you're just this huge physical backbone. So if you guys enjoyed this video, Torkoal's pretty busted, guys. Thank you, Berto. I think that this is the Pokemon, like, more people need to be playing Torkoal. This Pokemon is what the game needs. Like, it can really change the way that people play, and it's a Pokemon that almost no one uses. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I hope you all have a nice day.